She impacted my life because she is from the very old samurai family. She is very strict woman, She didn't allow me to talk a lot during the eating of the dinner and breakfast.
Miki, I want to thank you. I truly want to thank you for taking the time to do this. I've known you for so many years. I've known you ever since I've been a part of TAC.
I think it's over 20 years
Easily.
already.
Easily.
Probably.
Easily.
Because, it's after 1991. Because that is the year when I started. I just
you started working
in
here.
Bobbin.
Okay, no. So I didn't know you the whole time because I
So-
became a member in '88. So you came here when I was already a member.
Before that, but I was not a member at that time, as
Right,
you know.
right.
The-
But
we
you
are
were
both.
working here. But you were working here though. When did you start working here?
It's in the women's group at the time. It's now
What-
called
what
as
year?
a connection.
I know, but what year was that you started working?
It's the organizing the classes for members that time for the women's group.
Right.
So
No,
it
but I'm
was
saying, what
like
year was it that you started?
It's in 1991.
Oh, you started in 1991, so that's what I'm
91.
saying. So I met you then, but I was already a member.
Yeah.
Because I started I became a member in 1988.
And my husband, Cuz, joined the membership 2001.
He joined membership
Yes.
in 2001, right?
So, but before about 10 years, I was
We-
in club stuff.
But were you married during that time too?
1988.
So the year I became a member is the year you got married,
Yes. No, wait a minute. 1988, I got married.
right?
And
That's the year I
then
became a member.
yeah, right. And I just started to be involved in this club community, 1991.
Okay.
1991, and then my husband Cuz joined the membership in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So that is all about my life. Actually, after especially about the marriage,
Right.
and because I'm completely educated in Japan, I never lived in a foreign country, and almost
That doesn't seem really.
I spoke zero English.
When you came here, you had to have spoken
Almost
English.
zero English. There's nothing never had the kind of international background before the
Before
Tokyo
TAC.
Yeah.
Wait. Let me get this right, Miki. Wait, first of all, where were you born?
I was born in Setagayaku.
Setagayaku. So you're a Tokyo girl.
Yes,
I
I'm a
mean,
Tokyo girl. I'm Tokyo girl. Completely.
Well, no, completely.
Yes.
So wait. How many children in your family?
Actually, I have no children, but
Not you, but I'm talking. I mean, do you have any
I'm only
siblings?
child. I'm
You-
only child, and my mom is only one child actually. But I have huge relatives in the Osaka area because my grandfather has 8 sisters and brothers. But I grew up in Tokyo, but almost my family is in the Western.
Okay.
In Japan, it's like in Osaka. It's very lively Osaka people. So
Yeah.
now you can realize where my character came from. Actually.
Well, what about your father? Where was he born?
My father from Kyushu.
From Kyushu.
Mother from Kyushu.
Are your mother and father still alive? Are they doing?
No, my father has passed away the last year.
Oh,
But my
sorry.
mom is doing very well. And
Okay.
she still lives by herself in the Setagayaku. And she plays twice in a week in Mahjong. She is pretty much a kinky woman, so I'm pretty much very pleased to
That's
have.
good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And your husband, does he come from a big family?
My husband's from Saitama.
Saitama.
Yes, Kumagaya City, almost the Gunma prefecture. Gunma is the borderline.
Mm-hmm.
And his parents just in the same year they passed away, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he has a younger brother,
Okay.
but his younger brother just continued my husband's father's business there in Kumagaya for the making noodles, ramen, udon noodles
that
in the
right?
local. Yeah.
Ah.
Yes.
So tell me, so when you were growing up here, you were the only child. You went through public school system, or did you go to public school system all the way through? Did you go to college after you finished school?
I went to college in the women's college, Otsuma Women's College in Japan, and I majored in English literature. But how is if you learn Shakespeare and Faulkner, it never works well to learn about the communication. It's kind of practical.
But when made you decide to go into that area? Why did you decide to go into English literature?
Yeah, because I love English.
So you'd been speaking English in high school?
Yes, okay. It's when I was 16 years old, my mom took me to, it was my first time to travel abroad, to the foreign countries, Singapore and the Bali Island. That was my first experience.
At 16?
Yes, and 16. And it's also only with my mom. And we took a flight to the Singapore, and we have, of course, a transition. And my mom was very tired, and she was sat down in the lobby, but I was pretty much very ginky. And I like to communication, I like to communicate with the people. And I have zero English, however. I went to the information desk, and a very nice lady was there. And then I asked the question, I go, okay, where is my flight? Is which the gate number? I asked. I don't remember how I asked because I didn't speak the English. Okay. But the lady was very, very nice and very kind and tried to understand me. And then she said, okay, so you're now here, and okay, you have to go take that way and to go to this gate number. And she gave me. And at the end, the lady said to me, you speak the very good English.
Okay.
And I was so much encouraged actually with that. Only a few seconds of communication, but it was very much encouraged. And then we went to the Bali Island after that. I spoke with everyone in the island.
In English?
In English, I tried to. And that experience just encouraged me actually to, okay, I can just learn more English.
How long were you in the Bali Islands? How long was your vacation?
5 days.
5 days.
5 days.
And everyone you went to, you spoke to them in English?
Someone don't understand me, whatever. I didn't care. And unfortunately, my mom was very sick at the time. So she got something wrong to eat, in an airplane. So she had to stay in a room over the 5 days. I was alone. So I decided to take a day trip. And the tour guide, he spoke in very English. He's a native Bali Island person, but he talked to me in English. I spoke in English, and we communicate. I was really much satisfied because I could get very good communication. Then I got back in Japan. I talked to my teacher. I would like to learn English, and I want to go to that college and then major in English literature. That was my starting point.
Wait, prior to that, you had no English interest? You had some interest. You had interest, but
the Japanese public, the school system.
Right, of course.
All the children at the time started to learn English from the junior high.
Right.
So of course, in basic grammar, very basic, and the vocabulary which I had is like hello, good night, good morning, or just like that. But more deep communication English, there's no chance to learn at the time. There's no native speakers around.
What about the person teaching English? Was that a Japanese person teaching you English?
Yes, a Japanese teacher.
So you were learning with her accent or his accent?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. My teacher was at the junior high. He is a great teacher, but he spoke
with a heavy accent.
Queen's English.
Oh, the Queen's English.
That time, the Queen's English was major.
That was what everyone wanted.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Rather than the American.
That meant class. That meant you learned it properly.
Rather than American English.
That's interesting. But when you went to Singapore...
Singapore and the Bali Island.
Said, okay.
It's my starting point.
Are there any sports that you liked?
No, I didn't.
Did you like sports? Sports. When you were in school, did you like sports?
I'm not a good person, but I played badminton when I was junior high student, and that was it.
And in high school, you didn't do any sports?
I joined the club for choir.
Oh, so you sang?
Choir, rather than the sport at the high school. But I was not a good person, not majime students for
what were your biggest interests in school then? When you were in high school, what was your interest academically?
Academically is just almost... I am like not a very good kids. I studied. Okay. I studied and I have very good friends.
Okay.
As a women's high school, so I really enjoy in that they're doing something fun with the girls.
What would you guys do? Like what?
Is going to hiking and it's in a choir club. It's very fun.
Okay.
And then went to the movies and. It's many things.
So you went to movies, but did you go to Japanese movies or were these
Japanese movies and sometimes American Hollywood movies.
Right. That had all the
Yeah.
subtitles, of course.
And very strict, and it's a women's, you know,
So
the
they had to be
girls'
very
school.
strict, yes.
The rule.
The time and everything, right.
Especially in my school, the Otsuma Women's, you know, the school is. And actually, I lived with my grandmother at the time.
Where did she live?
She lives in Setagayaku, and then with my mom.
Now this
and then my
Oh,
parents.
so it's your mother's mother or your father's
Mother's
mother?
mother.
Your mother's mother.
Yes, and she is very much interesting woman, and I can say probably, you know, she impacted my life because she is from the very old samurai family from Okayama.
Is that right?
And my grandfather as well, and my grandmother's husband.
Okay, right.
So my mother's parents, because I lived with my grandparents.
So your grandparents, so did your grandmother take your grandfather's name or did he take her name?
My grandfather's name.
So she took, and that's samurai.
Yeah, and my grandmother's samurai family. And grandfather is from the old temple, Buddhism temple from Osaka.
I hear.
And I am the 23rd generation from my family founder.
Wow.
And then my grandfather passed away when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
He
but
died.
But you remembered him.
Yeah, very much, very much, because he loved me a lot. And my
Were you his only
uncle
grandchild?
And grandchild and girl.
Oh wow.
And girl.
So you were with him all the time, weren't you?
And he is a very big economic area. Actually, he was in the chairperson of the Keidanren, the Japanese. Yeah.
Yes.
So and he is very much Showa guy. You know, it's very after the World War II. You know, he had an experience and worked for the government in China during II.
Was he in the service? Was he was in World War II?
World War II, yes, in Beijing, in China.
In Beijing. What did he do during that time?
Actually, you know, he supported kind of the laborers.
Okay.
As a Japanese companies in China, because as you know, it's kind of historically, you know,
Right.
isn't in China there are so many Japanese government did business and then. And he had a very tough experience when, you know, the World War II just ended, and he was in China, and my mother was in China as well.
She was born there?
She was born in Harbin.
How many children, how many brothers and sisters did she have?
One. She's, my mother is only daughter.
She's the only daughter?
Only child.
Only child, you said that. You told me, right.
So when the World War II finished in Beijing, they had to just return to Japan. But that experience is very much hard. But as I mentioned, my grandmother, so my mother's mother, is from...
It was hard because people were mad at the people who were in the service. Is that correct?
Yes.
So they wouldn't give them jobs. They just shunned them.
Yes.
If they had any connection with the military, Japanese people didn't want to touch them. Am I correct?
Exactly.
So your grandfather had to endure all of that.
Yes, do the labor. And then when he get back in Japan, actually, he's still involved in. He started some companies in Japan after the World War II with a kind of the riaka is a kind of coach. And he started just selling the piece of the wood.
Okay.
And at the end, he just founded a kind of the shipment company afterward from the Gifu prefecture and Osaka.
Gifu?
In Gifu. And after that, he is kind of escalated and to be very important part of the Keidanren, because he was involved in just kind of encouraging the Japanese economy in the time after the World War II.
Gotcha.
So, and he went to the mine in Kyushu. And at the time, you know, the labor's kind of conflict was very much hard, because the situation or environment for the laborers in the mine is very terrible at the time. In about 1950 at the time. And after the Japanese economy is just escalated after, you know, the World War II. So he was assigned from the Japanese government to take care of that, the conflict of the laborers. Yes.
Right.
Yes. So my grandmother actually, you know, she lived until she was 94 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
How old was your grandfather when he passed?
58.
Oh, he died really early.
Very early, and when I was 10 years old, but I was.
18 years, yes.
Yeah, he loved me. And my
right.
grandmother is from the samurai family, as I mentioned.
You mentioned
so
that.
she is very strict woman, you know. She didn't allow me to talk a lot during the eating the dinner and breakfast. Okay. I had to be
And you had
home.
to sit a certain way?
Uh-huh. I had to be home by 4 o'clock. Immediately, the classes just end about 3 o'clock. And my school was in Nakano High School. And I lived in Sutakeku. And I have to just run,
How'd you get home?
It's transportation, subway and the JR.
Right. Of course, yes.
And I had to be at home by 5 for 4. But I was alone by 5 because when I have a choir club, she allowed me. So she's a very samurai woman, but she taught me appropriate in the Japanese words.
Teach me, like for example, give me something.
Talk, writing.
Keigo, always keigo.
So that actually helped me, when I grew up, because I never ever had a problem too in the communication. I graduated college and I worked for the Swiss company, trading company. But
straight out of college, you went with the Swiss company.
Because I wanted to use my English. But there's no choice. Just the only places is just a Swiss trading company.
So what were you trading? What kind of items?
It's kind of mechanical. It's
mechanical goods.
Machine.
Okay, machine.
And that is where I met my husband.
So he was working for the same company?
He was for the same trading company. He was sales engineer of the machine. Metal form and
so you're in your early
machine.
20s. Now you're in your early 20s.
Yes, I started to work in the 21. I was.
So right, so you just turned 21.
Yes.
At this Swiss company. How long did you work there?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years, because I got married. I got married with my husband, and I just quit it.
Now, what do they call that? Kaisha no. They have a.
社内恋愛. 社内恋愛. And then when I just retire and then they resign, it's kotobuki taisha.
Kotobuki.
That was the most popular way to find your partner.
Your husband, your partner. If it wasn't omiyai, that was the next best popular, right?
So my other colleagues is all kotobuki taisha.
Same.
Yes, same. Same.
From the same
we
school,
have a very good community because we all,
found your husband
at
through
the
work.
same timing.
From the same company, though?
The same company.
All of you found each other there?
Yeah.
About how many people? How many friends would you say?
4, 5. Yes. 5 girls, actually.
But the same
we worked
age?
in the same age, or a year older.
Okay.
And they all find a husband at the same company.
Are you still in contact with any of them?
Huh?
Are you in contact with any of them? Still?
Almost. Some of them already passed away, and they were young.
Yeah.
So it was very sad. But still we have very strong communication. And then now my husband is a chairperson of the reunion. Almost 15 members, And then we had a very good party and once a year.
You have to. Because those memories have to be strong and good.
Very good community.
Yes.
So I just learned from my very proper Japanese from my grandmother.
Yeah.
It's kind of samurai manner. And I could use it in a Swiss company. And
yes.
the people just don't trust me because my Japanese is just proper,
They did. You said they could trust you. Oh, they could. Yes, of course.
Is there any writing the documents?
They trust you in everything. They knew it was going to be the best.
Right. In English too, just to send a very kind of formal letter to send out into kind of organization. And Miki, your Japanese is just perfect. Oh my gosh, your grandmother taught you in a proper and a very formal Japanese. So can you just write a letter to the government? You don't have to worry about Chinese. You don't worry about it in English. We just translate from your Japanese.
Right.
But can you write up?
And you did that. Wow. So when you left there, you left with your husband. You and your husband. Did he leave too at the same time?
Yes.
So where did you go to work from there? From that point on, where did you work?
I got married, and of course he stayed in the company.
Okay, he stayed there.
He stayed there, but he, of course, promoted, and at the kind of headhunting and then now he has a different position. But I just quit the job, and then I have a little bit, maybe only 3 weeks. I have a kind of freelance time because I didn't want to stay at home.
You didn't want to do that.
I didn't want to do that. And only the first.
But didn't your grandmother do that? Didn't she stay at home?
She stayed at home.
But she got active. She didn't get active in the community somehow.
Not much.
Not much. So she really just.
Not much.
She was really
just
traditional.
Stayed at home, and wife.
Waited for
as
your
a
grandfather
wife.
to come home. Yeah.
Yes, and she stayed at home and she cooked and she cleaned home. And then my mother was not like that, like me. She went everywhere, and she has a kind of social thing. And then, so she played mahjong, and she did karaoke, and she was very active. Probably, my character.
And she's still doing mahjong with her friends.
That helped her actually kind of mentally support. See,
She didn't want to live her mother's life, maybe? Did she ever say that to you?
She didn't like it. My mom.
Well, how was your mom to your father?
My father is very free, And
so he let her?
Yeah.
He wasn't so strict?
He's very generous.
Okay.
Very, very much generous. I was like her, and I got married because I didn't go to the honeymoon person, After 6 months, we went to the New York because my husband used to stay in New York and Washington, D.C., so he wanted to introduce me to his friend. So he took in 2 weeks vacation, and he took me to the New York and Washington, D.C. to introduce me to his friend. That was my first time to visit the U.S. for honeymoon.
Okay, right.
Anyway, so that is 6 months after. Okay, so I had only 3 weeks, but I didn't want to stay at home. So I started to look for, to get another job. And the first thing, I just registered my name to the temporary staffing company.
Yeah.
And I got a job. Maybe 10 companies, I just work. And then I had more experience. But it is really interesting. It's even 3 weeks and 4 weeks. I met my lifetime friend at each place, and I still have a community.
Even just that short period of time. But these, but all of them are Japanese.
This isn't Japanese.
They're all Japanese. So all these companies you work for were all Japanese companies.
Yes, I made a very good friend each place, and I still have the very good community. And they come to Tokyo American Club to have dinner.
Doing sometimes with you. Wow, that's so beautiful.
That time of my life is, I would say, probably, I just make up my good partners in life to encourage each other.
So would that be your early 30s, maybe? Late 20s, early 30s?
24. I was 24.
24?
Yeah, 20.
And you met all these people, and you guys stayed together?
Different area, different business area.
Company. You say 4 weeks, boom, see you later. They were good friends.
They said, normally, it's just kind of only temporary stuff,
Right.
Is that they chose in a contract, is that their contract and term that's it. Bye-bye. But you are the only one person actually to keep on, the making the friendship and then have fun. And so they said, you are strange.
But then again, you're the only child too. So you never had siblings. I mean, not having brothers and sisters. So you, I guess, always like people.
So I love people. I think that I just love people. I'm in my child life, and when I was a child, I'm always alone. My mother had a job, and then my father, of course, and he was working. And I almost spent my time with my grandmother, as mentioned, but probably I felt I should make my life by myself. And I trust myself and to discover, my way. That is the only option actually in my life. Maybe when I was 5 years old, I think, maybe I'm alone. So I need to make my friends by myself. I try to do, and I should learn by myself, okay? And then I should do my life, to go my life. That is, and I thought I was 5 years old.
Maybe that's your samurai blood.
Probably, yes. This is probably because my grandmother was like that. Miki, you should do that by yourself, okay? You're done? Okay, that's next. Done? Okay, you're fine. So,
and you're done.
And I went to my, grandmother's family. It's an old samurai family. So they're always like that. So when I was 5,
you knew.
So I just love my people. I love my people, actually.
You should.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then I started, And my husband, Cuz, you know him.
Yes.
You know, he's very
Yeah, Cuz.
generous,
Right.
and he really enjoyed my friends, and you know, because I took many interesting people from anywhere else, and then he really enjoyed the group. But anyway, I after 6 months, you know, after we got back from the honeymoon, I thought, wait a minute. You know, that was my first experience. You know, the U.S. Oh my God, it's a beautiful country, and I love the people. It's very friendly. Everyone's just friendly, very accommodating. How can I convey my culture? At the time, I thought, because it's my first time as an Asian, and then I could see my own country and the culture very objectively. Until then, I didn't appreciate my culture, my country, because I didn't know anything else, you know, outside of Japan. But I experienced the U.S. Of course, when I was 16 years old, you know, I experienced actually, you know, to go to my first foreign country to visit Singapore and the Bali Island. But that was, I was still too young to think about that.
Right.
So, but at the time, oh my gosh, you know, I love the U.S., but I think I love more, you know, my country and Japan. And I really want to convey how beautiful my country is, and how interested in my culture, in the Japanese culture. And I thought, okay, I should learn how to teach Japanese language to foreigners.
Okay, so how were you when that happened, when you decided that?
And then I just reached, and at that time I had no Google, I had no internet.
So you had letters.
That's right. So and there's a magazine. There's just, you know, for the information, about the information, to go to some subculture schools or something. And then I found one advertisement. Is my teacher Tsutsumi Sensei has a kind of institute to call the students to learn about how to teach Japanese language to the native English speakers. And I applied, and I passed the test, and then I became his student. And he is a teacher of the Ambassador Amacost at the time at the U.S. Embassy. And he also has his own school to train the new teachers to, you know. Yes. So that is my turning point into my life, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, Tsutsumi Sensei died earlier, unfortunately, but he introduced me to the U.S. Embassy people. And then after a year training under his method, I started to teach in Japanese to U.S. embassies as officers, and then I went to the U.S. compound in Akasaka to teach classes. And through that term, and as one of very good friends of my student is the U.S. embassies stuff. She was the board member of the women's group at the Tokyo American Club at the time. And she was also looking for the Japanese teacher. So my friends just introduced me to the lady and started to teach the Japanese language to her. And then she told me at the time the American Club is just looking for a bilingual lady who could make or managing the classes for the club members. And I applied, and I had an interview with the women's group board at the time, and then I passed, and I started to work on that day right after the interview.
Wow.
That is in 1991.
How long did you stay there? How long did you do that?
I think about 15 years.
Wait just a minute.
Yes.
You were there into the 2000s?
So before my husband got a membership, the 10 years I was hired by the club as a club staff for the women's group office stuff. And 5 years duplicated as my status. I was the club member as well, but also
still helping, still doing it.
But
you were the spouse of it.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Right. That time probably I met you.
You might have
Maybe.
been. That
Yes.
could have been the time.
Met you.
And
Yes.
I was on the board probably. That's
Exactly.
when you met me, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So we're very, you know,
And then and that's when I told you my story, because when you became a member, we were talking about how much we've done, and you got on the board, or you got on a committee or something, I think, at that time.
Yes, when I quit, actually, the women's group office stuff, immediately the women's group board just invited me to
Be on the women's group.
the director of, I'm in the board position, because I am also the member.
Right.
So, right next day, I was just appointed actually the director of classes for the women's group, and completely shifted into my volunteering
Career.
role, and then rather than getting a salary from the American Club, but the volume of the work in the 3 times before that.
Now you're doing it for free. Now you're doing it for free and not getting paid anything, and paying to do it, because you're paying your monthly dues.
But I didn't care, because I just love the people.
Right.
And still, that place, women's group or the Tokyo American Club is a wonderful place to meet people, to expand my community.
Don't you think so?
Yeah,
Yes.
and because my husband he never complained about that. I just stop and receiving the salary on Miki. You don't have to worry about that. I can make money, and then but you can bring the wonderful, wonderful community, and I really enjoy it. So you can just do it. No worry about money.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
There's that. And then,
he has been very supportive. I've known him for all these
because
years.
He has
He's
to.
always there.
Because he has his
Because
wife
your family's
is
samurai, not his. We have to know. So you appreciate the culture. You better remember whose family is samurai.
Yeah, sometimes, hey, cuz, you have to come to the club today. And the 4 o'clock, please. Okay, he show up, but he hasn't nothing about, okay, what's going on today.
He just knows he has to be here. He just knows he has to be here.
Okay, yeah, I can be here, but I don't know anything about that.
That's been beautiful. Have all of your friends that got married the way that you did, are they still married to the same people?
Yes.
So how many years does that make now that you guys have been married?
I got married in 1988, and
So
we
that
have
means 33 years?
next Monday
years?
is anniversary. 34.
34 years. Wow.
So it's in the next year than 35.
35.
So there's a special thing, probably.
Oh, is it really?
I don't know. Yeah. Oh, my friend Barbara.
Right.
She Googled for me, Miki Coral.
Coral, okay.
Yeah.
Why?
It's boring. I don't know. It's kind of the Japanese kind of
Tradition.
50 years gold, right?
It's gold, right?
Kinkonshiki.
Kinkonshiki.
Yeah, kinkonshiki. And the 50 years marriage is gold.
Okay.
So in the first 2 years paper, boring. And the 5 years, 6 years pearl, I don't know, it's kind of a sign each,
Just
the value, for
but certain increments. It's not every year. So
it's every year. You can just Google. I think it is every year.
every single year there's
I think
something?
so. Yeah, it's something.
It's not every 5? Because Lucky in Japan's 5. It's not every 5 years? Okay.
No.
It's every year.
No,
There's something.
1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's every year, but I don't know everything. But my friend kindly just Google what is 35. It's a coral, and we said let's forget it. It's too boring. So maybe 50 years. We can spend more money to celebrate the 50.
Do you think being involved with the foreign communities made you, I don't know if you can be more of anything, but much more aware of your culture and much more aware of your ethnicity being Japanese? Have you thought about that more since you've been involved around foreigners, do you think, than you would have if you weren't?
Yeah.
You think
Yeah, that's true. It's very much interesting. It's my passion is, of course, I really want to inform or pass my culture, but also just implement just in foreign any cultures to me, and it's many foreign community is saying, Miki, you are very interesting. You can tell, very lively, and then you know everything. Actually, not, but we can feel in your passion. Is you want to tell us about what is your culture, and always very open to just getting other cultures. It's very interesting. So those things work very well to expand yourself and myself to the network. And it doesn't matter actually the nationality or different countries. It just doesn't matter. And now, of course, I love to be part of the very international community here in Tokyo, but started to expand that to any local in Japan, and to have very good exchange. And especially, you are also founder of the very good relationship with the Fukushima to the Tokyo community. Is after the 2011, about 10 years. This is already 10 years, but I feel I'm not supporting anymore. And anyway, is the local people in Japan is really supporting the foreign community here in Tokyo. I'm very much feeling that. So not only, we are supporting the charity or they need help, that's true. But actually you just practically just visit there and to meet more people with my international community. We feel, they gave us much genki to us after the communication, because they are always welcome the people, especially foreigners. Gaijin-san, they can just visit us. Oh my gosh. So we can just, this food is very good. This sake is the best. So please have it. And that feeling is that impacted us. We are the part of the community over here to support each other. Not only always giving, but we are receiving more from the side.
That's true.
So finally, after my international experience in 30 years, that is my answer. We are supporting each other. We are not only giving, but we are more the receiving from that side. So let's bridge more strict or steady communication with any places, not only in Japan but the other world, so we can understand each other. So I thought that is my goal to establish.
I was going to ask you, that's how I was going to basically end this, by asking you what you just got through summing up. That's fantastic.
It's based on the samurai spirit.
Samurai spirit. I know ahead of time what's going to take place. That's why. Miki, thank you so much for your time.
Very much welcome.
Really
Sorry,
appreciate it.
My life is not so much interesting.
It is.
Actually.
Don't say that. Don't say that. I'm going to cut that out anyway. No.
But you should be a very samurai manner.
It was really good. Thank you so much, Miki.
Very much. I feel very honored. Thank you very much, Lynn. So, thank you.
Yeah. All of you watching this podcast, make sure that you press like, subscribe, and never forget, it's all unknown. Continue to reach for the stars, and you're too blessed to be stressed.